Ladies and gentlemen, it's fascinating how life often feels like a grand chessboard. Some people step into your life wearing masks of confidence, believing they've already won before the game even begins. They walk in with swagger, convinced that they're the puppet masters, pulling strings, dictating outcomes, and bending the world, and you, to their will. They talk as if they know it all. Their words, smooth as silk, weave promises, half-truths, and lies so seamless you'd think they were architects of destiny. They build castles in the air, pretending they've already conquered kingdoms. But what they don't realize is this. In their overconfidence, they're blind to the real master of the game. You see, they believe they're in control because they've fooled themselves into thinking they know the rules. They think their charm, their schemes, their carefully curated moves are all it takes to stay 10 steps ahead. But what they fail to see, what they'll only realize too late, is that they're walking straight into a game they never understood. These so-called players, they believe every move they make is theirs alone. They think their timing is flawless, their tactics unstoppable. They position themselves as the star, assuming the world revolves around their strategies. But as they plot and plan, something crucial escapes their attention. Every game has a designer, a silent observer who anticipates every possible move before it even crosses the mind of the players. In this case, that person is you. You watch as they try to lay traps. You see their hands as they shuffle the deck, trying to stack it in their favor. They think they're being clever. They think you're oblivious. But what they don't know is that you've seen it all before. You've played this game far too many times to fall for such basic tricks. So, you let them move. You let them set the stage. All the while, you observe, silent, calculating, unshaken. The illusions they build. It's almost amusing, really. They construct their little worlds of control, believing you're a piece on their chessboard. They make the rules, they say. They decide how this plays out. And yet, they miss the simplest truth. The board doesn't belong to them. They pour their energy into illusions, putting on performances to keep you distracted. They think the right words will keep you loyal, that the right lies will keep you blind, and that the right manipulations will keep you dancing to their tune. But you don't flinch. You don't argue. You don't fight back. Why would you? After all, a master doesn't need to prove their skill to an amateur. You let them have their moment of glory. You let them believe they've got you wrapped around their finger. It's not because you're weak or naive. It's because you know that every step they take, every move they make, is only pulling them deeper into the web you've spun. They're not reeling you in. You're letting them tie themselves into knots. Every game reaches a point of reckoning. For these players, that moment sneaks up on them like a thief in the night. One day they look around and realize the pieces don't align the way they thought. The rules they believed they'd mastered no longer apply. The game they thought they were playing, it's suddenly unrecognizable. That's when they see it. The board, the pieces, the moves, all of it. It was never theirs to control. It was yours. They rewind the tape in their minds, trying to figure out where they went wrong. Was it when they lied, thinking you wouldn't notice? Was it when they underestimated your silence? Or was it when they mistook your patience for weakness? The truth hits them like a cold gust of wind. They weren't leading the game, they were following it. Every word they said, every trap they set, every calculated risk they took, it was all part of your design. Here's the thing about people like them. They think they're invincible. They think they're too clever, too sharp, too experienced to be outplayed. They've walked through life wearing masks so long, they've forgotten what it feels like to be vulnerable. But you've always seen through the masks. You've learned to spot the cracks. You've studied their kind, those who manipulate, deceive, and control, not with anger, but with curiosity. You've seen how predictable they become when their egos take over. And so, you don't fight them. You don't need to. You simply let them be themselves. They think they're operating in secret, pulling strings from behind the curtain. but you've been watching from the start. They're not predators, they're prey walking willingly into a trap. When the dust settles, when all the pieces are in place, the moment of truth arrives. You don't need to announce it, you don't need to rub it in. You simply let them see it for themselves. They think they're operating in secret, pulling strings from behind the curtain. But you've been watching from the start. They're not predators, they're prey walking willingly into a trap. When the dust settles, when all the pieces are in place, the moment of truth arrives. You don't need to announce it, you don't need to rub it in. You simply let them see it for themselves. They look back and realize that every step they took, every time they thought they had you cornered, was leading them exactly where you wanted them. Every word they said, every game they played, was part of a larger picture they never even noticed. The shock in their eyes, the disbelief, the dawning understanding, it's almost poetic. They've spent so much time believing they were in control, only to discover they were merely actors in a play you directed from the shadows. And you? You stand there, calm, composed, and unscathed. You don't gloat, you don't celebrate, you don't need to, because the truth is more powerful than any victory dance. They know they've been outplayed, and that knowledge is punishment enough. The lessons. They'll never forget life has a way of teaching lessons to those who refuse to learn any other way. For people like them, the lesson is simple. Arrogance is the greatest weakness. Confidence without humility, control without wisdom, it's a recipe for disaster. They thought they could manipulate you, deceive you, control you. But in the end, they only manipulated themselves. They only deceived themselves. And the control they thought they had, it was an illusion all along. As they walk away, broken and bewildered, you're left with something far more valuable than their fleeting schemes. You're left with clarity. Clarity about who you are, what you stand for, and just how powerful you can be when you choose to play the long game. So, the next time someone walks into your life, acting like they own the place, remember this. You don't have to fight them. You don't have to prove anything. All you have to do is watch. Listen. Let them play their game, knowing that in the end, you hold the real power, because life isn't just about winning. It's about understanding the board, mastering the pieces, and knowing when to move. And when the game is finally over, you'll walk away stronger, wiser, and completely in control. After all, you've never been just another player. You've always been the one who controls the board.